Welcome to UTB Blogcast number 97. 3 more to go until we hit number 100, because I did math. With us tonight, we're missing Erica, who usually does this part. And we've got Dave, Alpha, Roy, and Brad. Say hi, boys.
Hi, boys.
Hi, boys.
It doesn't feel right when I say it. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
I had to try it. I want to come up with my own intro, and we still haven't come up with our sign off. Something funny.
Yeah. That's a fail sandwich.
Yeah. Like the last words of last week, and then we never spoke about it again,
or something.
So this week, I didn't put it on our list, but the very first bit of news that we got was actually some pretty big news. And it kind of changed the way we were thinking about everything, and that the DTEC 50 and the DTEC 60 have been transferred as far as their ongoing responsibility from BlackBerry to BlackBerry Mobile, TCL. What do you guys think about that?
Me personally, I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I just feel that I think it should have remained with BlackBerry. Those were devices that were done before the TCL agreement, even though they were used. They were TCL reference design, and I think much like the Priv, that BlackBerry should have just stayed responsible for those devices. I mean, they aren't anymore being manufactured or anything like that. I just would have felt more comfortable if BlackBerry would have been more would have stayed with those, would have kept those devices, accepting responsibility for them. I guess it's because I'm more comfortable with BlackBerry handling such things as opposed to TCL. TCL's really their first run at handling being responsible for BlackBerry is with the BlackBerry Key 1 and screen issue aside, they've done a great job. I mean, they even responded to the screen issue in a fantastic way. So they responded to it quickly, they owned up, and they addressed it. So my fears could be unfounded at this point, but I'm just a little skeptical at this point.
Well, I know Roy and myself, we heard a rumor in one of the groups, one of the BBM groups, that TCL made the choice not to bring Nougat to DTEC 50 and DTEC 60, right? And like my whole thing when I heard that rumor was baloney, because TCL would have no way of determining that if those devices would get it or not. Now, which I mean, I'll talk about another rumor in a little bit, but now it's sure, yeah, it changes everything. They would be the ones responsible for making that decision, right?
Yeah, I'm going to take a slightly different tack than Alpha on this one. I like the idea of the responsibility for a piece of equipment to have one source, one place to go, whether it's a hardware issue or whether it's a software or an update issue, let's say, because I found it a little bit frustrating, or not confusing, because you know who's responsible for what. But there's BlackBerry used to be responsible for doing the software updates, the security updates and whatnot for the DTEC 50 or the 60 that I own in my case. And now it just, to me, it feels more cohesive to have one entity responsible for both of those things. So although I have not been graced, shall we say, with a July or an August update as far as security goes, at least I know who to talk to. And there's kind of no question about that type deal. So I don't know. They made it. they put the software on it anyway, and that's where you go. Will we see anything after, you know, the holidays are over, you know, summer's over? I mean, people are back from holidays and things smooth out and even out. I don't know. Seems like the DTEC 60 is the last one to get updates and whatnot, but we'll see what happens in the near future as to whether they get N or not. I don't know. I still hold out hope for that. All negativity aside, that's just me being a glass half full type of human being. So in the end, I'm kind of glad they made the switch. I totally get what Alpha's saying. I do feel, you know, that BlackBerry, who we all grew up with, kind of thing from a smartphone perspective, is sort of that comfy sweater, and that's, you know, that being where you get your updates from. It feels, you know, sort of comfortable, but I kind of like the idea of it all coming from one place now. That's just me, and I'll shut up now about that.
Any thoughts, Roy?
For me, it's very natural that BlackBerry Mobile TCL will take control, take DTEC 50 and DTEC 60 to their responsibility, because we all know that BlackBerry don't want any connection with hardware. BlackBerry rather right now. It's made by TCL, so why not TCL will give us the support and everything we need. So it's all that's happened.
Yeah, that's a good point. I neglected to touch on it, and that's probably a good thing, because then I wouldn't have shut up as soon.
We all used to BlackBerry, like Dave said, and Alpha, and we need to get used to BlackBerry Mobile. And they are new in this BlackBerry game, and I hope that in the next 2 or 3 devices, there will be more. We will be more comfortable with them, like we with BlackBerry.
You know what? That's a perfect point. And I'm sitting here. I'm trying to make sure whatever I say comes out as positive. But that's exactly it. Is getting that comfort level with TCL, BlackBerry Mobile. And I'll tell you, I'm not there. I'm not there at all. You know, I mean, BlackBerry is at this point is like family to us. You know, we all grew up with BlackBerry as far as our smartphone habits. TCL has been doing a completely different type of business in their smartphone business than what BlackBerry has done. And I just, I want them to do the impossible and just become part of our BlackBerry community now, right? We know that's not going to happen. They have a way of doing business. That's what they know. That's what they've been doing. And it's completely different than what BlackBerry was doing and BlackBerry doing business. And anybody could say, well, hey, look, BlackBerry doing business the way they were doing it, they didn't quite make it. TCL is very profitable. They've had no problem. But I don't care about that aspect. I care about our BlackBerry community, right? And I do not see BlackBerry Mobile diving in. We've invited them. They were going to come twice and they didn't come. But I'm not to that point yet. I want them to join in. I want them to be part of our community. I understand their business is much bigger than our community. But like what I wrote about in my blog post, our community is also the biggest set of cheerleaders that they could ever have. I want them to recognize that. I know, and this is another thing, like we have a lot of the elites out there, right? And a lot of the elites are very focused on hardware. Well, BlackBerry's no longer hardware. And I don't know if all the elites are as focused on software as they were on hardware before. It's like maybe they should grab some of those guys that don't really care about the software and get them out there cheerleading the hardware. I know, like Roy and myself, we still cheerlead it all, right? And I'm not changing that at all. I mean, this BlackBerry Key 1 made by BlackBerry Mobile is the best BlackBerry phone I've ever had. So I'm not saying anything negative about the phones themselves. We see John Chen, we see Marty Beard, we see them out there, we see them with the community, and we see them on Inside BlackBerry Blogs. And there's somebody that we see, I'm screwing up right now because I can't think of his name. Roy, I know you know his name. The guy that we see all over Twitter from BlackBerry Mobile.
Jason.
Yeah, Jason Gurdon. I don't even know how to say it. He is very out there, and that's awesome. And what he's doing, I'd like to see the rest of those guys do, because I'm not seeing it from really anybody else over there.
I think BlackBerry Mobile in the learning curve of
I agree.
The BlackBerry community, and I will not judge them 3 or 4 months that they are actually in the BlackBerry community, because for the Key 1 release, you can know what will happen. But after the Key 1 release, I think that they're learning. They are learning. They get in touch with other sites from the BlackBerry community, and they know us. They know that the people that actually care are the most that send them emails and trying to connect them. My guess is that in a few months we will see a little different behave, and after that, another change. If you remember, even BlackBerry wasn't the biggest BlackBerry community fan. So even BlackBerry.
You're talking under previous management? Because these guys are great, man. The current guys are great.
The first management, it took them a few years before they was part of the BlackBerry community.
Right.
Yeah, well, let's face it. It started out being an enterprise thing, and nobody had to care about individuals. And the 2 guys that were running it never got it. When it got into the hands of all the individuals, they didn't really get it, that they were speaking to individuals instead of enterprise. So anyway, I'm willing to cut TCL and BlackBerry Mobile some slack, even though I'm anticipating some things for the handset that I'm running right now that aren't there right now. I'm willing to cut them some slack. And like Roy said, they're just getting their feet wet, and they're getting a feel for this community, which is vocal, sometimes more vocal than any other community.
Definitely.
Whether you like it or not, kind of thing, and whether it's positive or not, it's vocal. So, they have to change their mindset if they want to. And I hope that they want to, like you said, Brad. I'm willing to cut them some slack, and, even as far as waiting to see what their next handset that comes out, how that's treated. But they do need to pay attention to what they've put out there already. So I don't know what the deal was. I don't know why BlackBerry transferred the the updating and the ongoing servicing rights back to TCL. I don't know who thought that was a great idea or why that happened. It's not my rice bowl kind of thing, but that's what
I think it's obvious that BlackBerry doesn't want to be in hardware anymore. And
that's right. So why, that's right. So why do that? It's, you go to shop BlackBerry, it's not there.
Right.
So, So they're not responsible for hardware, and that's just the way it is. So that's just part of the contract. Now we're in a new reality, and we'll see how these guys make out. And I'm kind of hoping, like I said before, that you know, after the summer's over and everything's back to normal, we'll see it start to run more smoothly.
Now we talked about the rumor that NuGet's not coming, right? Now remember the rumor that we had that before, that it was coming in September. You guys remember that one?
Yeah.
These are all just rumors.
Yeah.
Every one of them is just rumors. I know that Roy has heard it from a more official channel. At the same time, there's been somebody in contact with people at AT&T who says that they currently have NuGet for the Priv, working on it now, clearing it, and it will be out in September, which is what the original rumor was for the Priv and the DTEX.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of rumors out there. I am not willing to say at this point it's not coming. I'm just not, because I know Roy heard his rumor, I heard my rumor, and then I got what I feel is confirmation of my rumor today. But again, it's all rumors. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I will add something to, or I think the BlackBerry community was louder when it was all around the BlackBerry OS, and it's much harder to get everyone under a device, because now we are a community of devices. Before we were a community of OS. If it was BB7 or BB10, it was much easier to be a community, a bigger community, and a vocal community. It's much harder when it comes to the devices. Samsung community or a Nokia community. You can see an Apple community, but they have their own OS.
I get that. I agree.
Well, I also, and again, you know, touching on the rumors about NuGet, that I think I shared it in the group about that article. I forgot what tech site wrote the article that was talking about NuGet coming to the Priv and the DTEC devices. And then I also heard a rumor that it would also be there on the DTEC devices and the Priv in the September-November timeframe. My thinking is that if that's the case and those devices are actually going to be there, if they're going to get NuGet, that they will just give them some time for to get some Q1 sales in. I mean, I don't know any company that would release a new device and then quickly update their older devices. That would actually sort of put a damper on your new device's sales. I don't see how that would be good from a business aspect of things. But I guess we'll see.
I don't know, Alpha. I think the cops are coming to arrest you for misuse of a microphone. I'm not sure.
I don't think that if I got the NuGet on my DTEC 50 or my Priv, I will not buy a key one. I don't, for me at least, on Android, the OS, the big OS update are not the main issues with the device, because I still use my Priv and I got a DTEC 50 now also. And
I don't know. Go ahead. How do you like that?
It's nice.
I had one of those for a couple weeks before I gave it to my parents. I really like the DTEC 50, like amazingly like it.
Yeah, it worked very smoothly. Not an issue for me.
No,
they're basically the same. If you will ask 100 BlackBerry Android users what the difference between NuGet and Android 6, give me 10 differences. They will give you 2 or 3 max, and 2 of them will be the same.
Well,
2 of 3 will be the same change.
I'm more referring to new users possibly coming over to BlackBerry devices. A new user, or a new, let's say it's a new user, and the BlackBerry Key 1 is released, and then all of a sudden Priv, which is sold at a much cheaper price now than it originally launched, and it's cheaper than the Key 1, has a physical keyboard that gets updated to Nougat. They got, people are going to go buy a Priv. Or those who have a Priv physical keyboard, there will be some that choose to hold on to the device a little longer, especially if it's running well and they know that they're going to get the update to Nougat. I think people like us who are, I guess I would call us more along the lines of geeks, we're going to buy the newer device.
Guilty.
We are definitely going to do that. We're going to look and we're going to go, nope, I want that one. That's the new device. I'm going to get it. Those of us who use BlackBerry devices who aren't geeks and tech nerds and all of that, if they know that their device is going to get Nougat right away, they're not going to go out and buy a newer device. They're going to hold on to the one that they have because they're going to say it's running fine and it has the latest OS. So they're going to keep it. And again, from a business standpoint, I can understand that about why if that's the reason why they delayed it. Now, I know that BlackBerry has to do a lot of testing on Nougat. They got to add their own security layer to it. There's a lot of stuff that they have to do before this thing can be released to their older BlackBerry Android devices. So that could very well be the reason. A lot of testing that has to go on.
Well,
there's a lot of layers that they have to add and everything.
People buy new devices because there are new devices. I mean, you look at all these iPhone users that rush out to buy the new iPhone when there's very little difference between the last iPhone and the new iPhone. Heck, there's very little difference between the first iPhone and the newest iPhone. iPhone's crap. But, people want their new devices. And, people run out and they get the new Samsung and they get, all you need is a commercial. And you're like, oh, something new and shiny. But there's something different about us geeks, alpha geek, and us geeks here that we're collectors and we're users. Every one of us here on this panel tonight has multiple BlackBerries, and every one of us here tends to flip our SIMs around or use this BlackBerry for this or use this BlackBerry for that. And I mean, I started doing that with BlackBerry 10, and I don't know what you guys started doing it, but I had a Passport, I had a Leap, I had a Classic, I had a Z10, I had all these devices, and it's like, you know what? I want to go back and play with that phone for a while. And we would do that. We'd swap our SIM back in. Every one of us went out and bought the newest phone each time if we could afford it, but we also would flip back to our other phones because we could, and we were running the same OS on it, but it's a different form factor. It's something new. It's something that you could use for something else. It's like I wouldn't go jogging with my Passport, or actually I hate running, so I wouldn't go jogging at all. But I wouldn't go to the gym with my Passport. I would go to the gym, and I honestly did, with my Z10, because it just fit better. And I like being able to do that. I know that there's a lot of people within our community that like being able to do that. I know there's some people like James that switches his phone every day. He switches his phones more than he does his underwear. And the thing is, with us doing this is kind of where we become the cheerleaders, right? We're used to it. This is what my thing is. We're used to something. Everybody likes having something extra. Nobody likes having something taken away. And if we're just going to walk away and not update the OSs on the old phones to where, my Key 1 is on Marshmallow. I mean, my Key 1 is on Nougat right now. My Priv is on Marshmallow. There is very little difference between those two OSs. I don't feel any sort of change going from one phone to the other phone. I really don't. But what happens when O comes out? You know, what happens is O going to be that minimal of a change, or is it going to be like going from lollipop to marshmallow, which was a big change? You know, because if it's a big change, you're not going to feel right flipping back to your old phones and using those for a week here, a week there.
Yeah, and Android devices are Android market are not getting pretty much new versions for all devices. It's not like the BBOS when BlackBerry control it. If you will check, most people, even if they have the Android Nougat update available, will work on Marshmallow.
Yeah.
My thinking is that Android users don't really care about updates as long as their devices do what they need to and to work well, and there is no any issues with the device.
Yeah, I think it's the 80-20 rule. 80% of users don't care as much about it as we do. And I'm the kind of guy who wants the latest thing. You know, same thing with my laptop. If I had the opportunity to get on Windows 10, I did it immediately. No waiting. I have no problem being the intrepid explorer. And if I get an opportunity to have Nougat on my DTEK 60, I'm going to take it. You know, I want it. I want to try the new thing. But like Roy says, I think I am in, you know, a much smaller group than the people who buy a phone and use it for its logical lifespan. You know, lots of people don't care. And, you know, case in point, Samsung user friend of mine at work, he got an update, ignored it, didn't really care. His machine went from Marshmallow to Nougat, and he was actually complaining to me about it. No, this doesn't do this, or that's different, or that's changed.
Only 13% of Android devices have Nougat, running Nougat. So, and we have, I don't know if billions, but of devices, and only 13% running Nougat is
right. Yeah,
not
and
much.
I want to be one of them. That's just me.
Good times. So how do we feel on that? Are we good on that? I think I cut Alpha off a few times. Alpha, did you have something?
Yeah, now your microphone.
Brad,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Even Marshmallow is only 32% of running Android devices.
That's amazing. So, Roy, you're saying did you say 13% for Nougat?
13.5% for Nougat.
And Marshmallow's.
I will tell this. 7.0 is 12.3%, and 7.1 is percent.
So you're saying Marshmallow and Nougat all combined is still under 50?
Yeah.
Wow.
You have Lollipop for and KitKat 15%. Even Gingerbread have almost 1%.
Yeah, wow.
Really,
I think there's an awful lot of tablets. There's an awful lot of tablets and stuff out there that never were ever going to be included in an OS update. I mean, I went to Best Buy 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I saw tablets on the shelf that were Lollipop, and you knew damn well they were going to stay that way.
Not bad for most users.
How do I sound now? Better?
Nope, same.
No.
Next up is the App Dome. I'm going to be right back. Someone take control. Dave, go.
Well, I could barely hear what Brad said, but I think he threw a dart in my chest and told me to talk about App Dome. So, message for you, sir. Anyway, App Dome. That's a third-party cloud-based company, and I never knew about them until we blogged about it. But anyway, third-party cloud-based company, and they'll take your app, and it has to be it has to be in an SDK format, so the binary, I guess. And you upload that to them, and you tell them what kind of connections you want to it, and they have this automated process that'll glue certain connections to your app. And what comes out the other end is your app connected in new ways, and the idea is that you didn't have to rewrite code or anything. So one of the what they were talking about is that the BBM for Enterprise, this SDK, is what is available for BlackBerry to do this with. And so anybody, well, not anybody, people who are interested in creating new services for enterprise have the ability to inject or include BBM for enterprise services within their apps. So, you might have some kind of CRM, or, imagine any kind of application on your mobile device, and you can run it through this process and have some BBM for enterprise capabilities within that app. So that could include voice or video or both, or instant messaging or whatever.
So if I'm a bank and I add voice or video on BBM
sure
on my app, so I can connect my customers and do it securely.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work out with using the BBM for Enterprise SDK, because I don't know how many customers would have access to that. But that's a great example of the usage of the app, and maybe that's just within the bank itself. Yeah, right. So all of the users within that enterprise, they're any kind of app that bank or enterprise could have these BBM components plugged into it. So, you might have a CRM within your bank or whatever, and you want to talk to Fred about the financing associated with this new project you got going, and you'd have the instant messaging or voice or video or all three of those plugins injected into the app for your enterprise.
That's the BBM SDK. That's not Aptome, is it? I'm confused right now. You're explaining the BBM SDK.
BBM for Enterprise SDK, yeah. And it's an example of, well, that's what they were using as an example. You can take that and shove it through the Aptome process and inject whatever things you want into that app. And what comes out the other end is this app with new capabilities, new plugins, and you didn't have to write the code from scratch. So I don't have a deep understanding of how that works, because to me that's very nitty-gritty stuff happening automatically, and that's where I have a problem with it, because to me, kudos to them. Obviously, it works, or they wouldn't be advertising it like that. But that gets some automation happening on some stuff that I thought would have to be coded by hand. So nicely done. I don't know how long the process takes. They make it look like it's one pass through, you tell I want this component and that component and this component, and it looks like you just you know, upload the binary of your app and get to inject these features into it. And out the other end comes your app. I don't know. What does that take? An hour? A day? Probably not a day. It's probably closer to an hour. And there was silence.
I got to be honest. This has been a long week, and I have not caught up. The App Dome I have not looked into yet, so that's why I was like, Dave, go.
Yeah, well, that's what I read about it. That's what my take on it anyway, and there will be some possible inaccuracies, or you know, anybody wants to comment about that or correct me, please feel free to do so. It kind of speaks to the way they named their service. You know, taking the binary of your app and sticking it under and through this dome, you get something else out the other side.
Okay. So, hey, they fixed the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not. You can't take off the screen even if you really want.
Yeah. You just busted your phone doing that now.
So Jerry Rig Everything, a YouTube channel that does destructive reviews on phones, did the key one, the initial key one, and it failed miserably, which I still think is kind of an unfair test for the key one, just because most of these tests, they have a screen that goes top to bottom. The key one does not. So, I mean, there's a perfect lever point there that other phones don't have.
Yeah.
But it turned into a big deal. It definitely turned into a big deal. And then it turned into an even bigger deal because a lot of people were having the screens pop out of their phones. And anybody that follows BlackBerry Mobile on Twitter knows that a lot of people were having their screens pop out of their phones. BlackBerry responded to that video by saying that they were looking into it, right? And then they responded later on saying that it's been fixed. So Jerry Rig Everything, the channel, the guy is not named Jerry, but he went out and he actually purchased himself another key one. He didn't get it from BlackBerry. He went and I think he bought it off of Amazon. So he got the same phone that anybody else would be buying. And he did a second video where, yeah, that screen is not coming off of that phone at all. That screen will break before it comes off of that phone.
I saw the original video and I saw the second one a couple days ago or whenever it came out. And I was really pleased from a third-party perspective or whatever. I mean, I don't have a dog in this fight or whatever. But I was pleased at the outcome. And I was actually surprised at the end of his video. It wasn't, I don't know if conciliatory is the right word. Apologetic is the wrong word. I don't know where it fits in there, but it almost seemed like a little bit too much, because it's almost like he felt bad that the phone originally in the first video went to his wall of shame or whatever the hell he calls it. And then this time he's happy to take that thing off the wall of shame and do the, you know, and recommends the phone and this, that. And it wasn't smarmy. It wasn't wrong. It all felt sort of right, but almost too much or something at the other side. Or I don't know. Am I saying this wrong? Am I nuts? What was your thought? Almost seemed like too far, but I'm glad it turned out that way.
I think originally he was probably shocked that
okay, good point.
a device bearing the name BlackBerry could have gone up on his wall of shame to begin with, because I mean, let's face it, BlackBerries are known for their incredible hardware. So I think he was in shock.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that once he saw that this thing was that they corrected this situation, and rather quickly, I might add, and that this thing that you would crack the screen up before you could actually remove it.
Yeah.
I think he was more than happy to go, okay, yeah, this is the BlackBerry I know, and yes, I'm pulling this thing down off of this wall of shame immediately.
Yeah.
I also want to say that yeah, BlackBerry Mobile responded to this incident in the correct manner. They didn't try to disguise it. They didn't try to hide it. They didn't try to put this on the user or anything like that. They owned up.
You mean it wasn't Gluegate?
Yeah.
They owned up to what happened. They said, "Our apologies. We're going to fix this. If anyone is having a problem, you can go through the normal channels. You can send us a device. We'll send you a new device." They did everything they possibly could to make this thing right, and then they made it right. They put out the same device, better adhesive on it, and you literally have to break the screen in order to get that thing off of the phone. And
Yeah.
I gotta say, I gotta commend them on that. I really gotta commend them on that.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take that and agree with you, man. One of the things that occurred to me about the whole process is, for some, it was a really long time. You know, I think that if you have a device and the screen issue happens to you, then it feels like forever in order to get your issue resolved, even if it's only a week or whatever. And I'll bet dollars to donuts that some people, and by that I mean distributors, and even some people at BlackBerry Mobile or TCL or whatever, were probably sending out devices with the exact same problem unwittingly, which compounded the problem, made it feel like it was lasting longer. And it wasn't until, you know, there was a full investigation and realization that the original wave, be it one or two waves or, you know, X amount of devices were manufactured with this flaw, and that's what it was. It was a flaw. Were out there, and some of them were being used as replacements. And so it happened again. You know, it might not have happened to people who treated it differently afterwards. Whatever the case may be, and it also speaks to the number of devices that were manufactured and sold, which I'm wondering how many that was. I think it was probably a significant amount, actually, when you think about it. But now we sort of reached the other side of that, and you know, if you're going to go buy one, you know, using Amazon as an example, you are going to get one with, like Alpha says, a screen that's not going to come off. You're going to have to kill your phone to get that thing off. It's not an issue anymore. And I think when I look at my own carrier, I think it was 2 or 3 blogcasts ago, we were talking about TELUS and how they had sort of suspended or were waiting, you know, to ship more devices. Well, the wait is over. So I think anything you get out of TELUS now is going to be that way too, or pretty much anyone with new stock. So it's hallelujah. Thank you very much. Bummer it wasn't this way the first time, but like you say, Alpha, good on you for fixing it, admitting it, and being transparent.
I think we've seen a lot of phone companies do the pass off. You know, I mean, how many iPhones have exploded that there's no problem there, right? Samsung tried to take care of the Note, but failed miserably. And then Apple just pretends that their phones aren't exploding and burning people. And then we've got, you know, BlackBerry Mobile, the first device they made, the screen fell off. It did. And they fixed it. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I think you could probably, you know, fix it with some healing from Peter Popov. If you know who that is. Anyway, I'm not going to explain it. That was a terrible joke.
So the BBM update, we all have it now, right?
No,
Yeah.
You still don't have it, Dave?
No.
no, I just checked again.
I don't have it either.
Well, I sort of have it. I have the beta version, which is 1 digit under the released version.
Huh.
So
Seems like a kind of
probably
slow
because I have a
rollout,
DTEC 60.
huh?
Zing!
Well, you've been running the beta. Alpha, were you running the beta, or have you not been using the new one at all?
I haven't been running the BBM beta.
Yeah.
No, I haven't been running the BBM beta.
Well,
I think it's really strange that you talk to Alpha about a beta. It's confusing to me. And it's, running the whole gamma of possibilities or something.
get off your epsilon, Dave.
All right, I'll get right on it. Yeah.
Well, I love the new BlackBerry, the new BlackBerry Messenger, the new BBM. I gotta wake up here. And
Yeah, too much rum.
there's a few things I don't like about it, but for the most part, I love the UI change. The weird little colors are all gone. I actually like the wallpaper behind it. I like the wallpaper behind it a lot because it has the spark in it.
Yes.
The spark has been taken away from BBM, but the wallpaper behind our chats has the spark all over it. And it even says ping in there.
I didn't even see it until an hour ago when you had to point it out to me.
Yeah. You're an anti-spark bastard.
No, I'm not. I'm not an anti-spark. I'm probably the rest of the stuff you said, but I'm not anti-spark.
So seeing the spark in the wallpaper kind of makes me hopeful that maybe we can see the spark return to its rightful home in BBM, and we can get rid of that little red N that nobody likes.
I don't know, man.
Nobody.
I think MTech heard you loud and clear, and you said you wanted the spark back, so there it is, and that's it, and shut up.
That's not how I want it.
That's it.
Not how I want it at all.
It's what you get. That's like it. Too bad.
So what do we not like about it, Roy? I know you and I have the same complaint.
The bubble, the reply bubble in the chat, it's very confusing. Took me some time to understand what I'm seeing, who's quoting who and who replies to who.
Oh, no, you and I have two different complaints. I like that. You're wrong.
I'm not wrong.
Go ahead.
Wrong. How can you be wrong about an opinion? Shut up.
No, but someone else did have the same problem in group. I remember Robert was pointing that out too. So yeah, keep going with that.
I like the UUI. I have one more thing that I don't like, that version when you swipe, it moves from the chat to contacts to feeds and to discover. Go through all the important menus. Now it's only between all and groups.
Yeah.
Like right and left.
Yeah.
If you want to go to discover, and it's then the last version.
Yeah, and
But
swiping
other than that,
in channels is the same, right?
yeah.
I hadn't even noticed that. Good eye.
Good eye,
That's why you
mate.
have me.
Yeah. No, Wayno's not here.
I tried.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, now that's gonna bother me. Darn it.
Yeah, but at least you got your spark.
Not the way I wanted. I just flipped over to Discover, and I've got a whole line of red ends, and now I'm angry again.
Like it.
I'm just angry.
You have your spark back. Shut up. Like it.
Another thing I don't like, which was on the previous version, I haven't liked this since they did it, is in the chat, the bottom portion of our screen where we type, the little logos down there, little smiley face, it looks like an iPhone. I don't like that. I want my square box back, and I want my old logos back.
Mm-hmm. So, of the things that you want, which one do you want more?
The Spark.
Okay, thank you. Well, you have that now. So
I don't have
yes,
it.
you do. It's right there. I'm looking at it.
You know, honestly, if you want to speak about it that way, that, hey, you've got the Spark, that's closer to the UTB Spark than the BlackBerry Spark because it's kind of blue.
If you will, one more thing that I noticed just now, that on private chats, the R and the D are too small. You can barely see them.
But if you go back to your listing of chats, it's the way it's always been. It's when you're actually speaking to somebody, it's just they're too small. I don't like it. But when you go back to your list of chats, it's the way it's always been. So I kind of found myself today going back to the list of chats to see if people had read my messages or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty small in the
but
hub,
we have one. They categorized all the stickers, so it's much more easier to buy or to download free stickers. And there is one more feature that is missing from this update: the customized pin going free. Still not in this update.
Yeah, and is that supposed to be for new users only? Or is that supposed to be for users in a particular region maybe only? Because somehow I get the humble feeling that what I've been paying for, I'm going to keep paying for. Why am I thinking that? I don't know. Because money, everybody likes money. I don't know. I like my money too.
It should be free. Now, it'll probably be a case of where, I don't know this at all, but remember this happened before with our privacy features. Remember, we used to have that privacy option that those things ended up becoming free. And we had to, like, if we just left it the way we were, if we had the subscription, it would keep going. It would keep charging. We had to go in and cancel our subscription. And then we didn't lose anything. We had those things free, but we had to actually go do it.
Right. So maybe it'll end up being the same. But I don't know if it's a region thing or platform wide.
I don't think so.
It wasn't listed as that. I think it's probably something that that MTech, what are they called now? Global
I don't know. I can't get MTech out of my head. Yeah.
Global creative.
Yeah.
Global
something like
creative
that.
Media.
Let's just say MTech for tonight. I think it's something that MTech has probably determined wasn't really much of a moneymaker for them. So we've already got the ability to do this. It's something that would make it easier for people. You know what I mean? As far as instead of saying, hey, contact me at 987, whatever it is, or 78, whatever. They could turn around and say, hey, look up UTB Brad, right? It's that simple. And you can have people, it is more of a convenience option.
Or when you see UTB Brad, you can just ignore them and block and mark as spam. It's much more easier.
That's true. That is true.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I want the custom pin of no, it's not Brad, it's Roy, and see if people accept my invite. I'm not Brad, I'm Roy.
Too weird.
Damn it. I should have gotten Dave's not here.
Oh. Well, it turns into like the license plate game. It's like, I want this personalized license plate. How am I going to spell it so that I can get it to where people can read it?
Yeah.
Freezing.
What's that?
No, everything froze for a few seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, the BBM update, I think, is absolutely huge. You know what I mean? It's a huge change in the UI. It's not just a little minimal change. Everything has changed. And I like it. I like it a lot. I never cared for the Android BBM appearance. I haven't. I used to make fun of it. I can't think of what the kiddie show is called, but all the little colors. Why can't I think of what it's called? I always blank out on that.
Frou-frou.
Couldn't stand I couldn't stand the colors of the chat bubbles. Now it's nice. It's really nice. I like the little cartoony feel to it, which is something that you wouldn't have expected from BlackBerry Messenger. You know, your business messenger. You look at that. You look at the background on it that Dave didn't notice until tonight. There's a lot of like cartoony little pictures in it, but I like it. I like it a lot. Do you think we're going to see wallpapers?
Yes.
We had wallpapers on BlackBerry 10, so why not on Android?
I do.
Yeah, I just know that the wallpapers on BlackBerry 10, they had what, 5 that they started out with, which more to come, and they never came.
Yeah.
Was it 4?
But I think what we're looking at on the background here is just a placeholder for future wallpapers of your choice.
Could be. I hope so. I really do, because I have heard people that aren't too keen on that. Plus, a lot of people want the dark mode, right?
Yeah.
And it would be really easy to just have a wallpaper that was black, you know, or just dark wallpapers. Because I know on BB10, I used the wallpapers. I liked them, but it wasn't something that, you know, oh, I got to change this every day. So I just picked a dark one that I liked, and that would stay that way.
Yeah. Yep. I'm on for that.
Well, I'm glad Dave's on for that.
I'm glad you're glad.
I'm glad you're all glad.
All right. Okay, this is
Alpha's not glad about anything.
Finish it off, Alpha. Yeah. Come on, man. Or not.
Expected Alpha to come in and call us all glad holes.
Gladiators.
All right, so we ran through our list. Was there anything that you guys were aching to talk about tonight?
No. I want to buy a new amplifier.
That is not what I was expecting to hear.
I know, but that's what I was thinking about.
I have a new use on my hub, something that I didn't use before, and I just a few days found very useful. When you got emails on your hub, you have a snooze option. Anyone checked it before?
On the hub?
Yeah. When let me show you.
There all along. That's one of the default when you start up the hub. Isn't it? Oh no, it's flag and delete.
You have.
But no, there's snooze also.
You have snooze, and if you will mark one of your emails and you click snooze, it would let you snooze your email back to you by the time you want or by the location. So if I want to play my electricity bill and I want
by the location.
Yeah, location. You can set your home location, your work, or something. So if you have I have an electricity bill that I want to pay on Sunday, so I snooze this email to remind me back on Sunday after I coming back from work, and I will not forget to pay my electricity bill. So if you have an email that you need to show someone and you know that you go to him, so you can snooze it when to your friend location. So it can be a 1 or 2 or 3 weeks email, and when you go to your friend, it will snooze you. It's very useful, very productive.
Yeah, I knew about the feature, but I did not know about the location part of it. That's
And
super cool.
yeah,
Yeah, and you know what? You can also do it. You can actually do it with your BBMs. You can do it with your if you have Facebook Messenger. You can do it with that. It's a really nifty feature. It's really cool.
Yeah,
It's
well,
really cool.
I knew that part. I made all my BBMs from Brad notify me in the year 2023.
in location application hell.
Yeah, it hasn't forgiven me for that.
Yeah, it's not like you'll get the message that says it.
You can do it for messages also.
Mhm.
Per location or pretty neat.
I knew about the
You
snooze. I
can-
knew about the time. I didn't know about the location.
Right.
That is kind of nice.
Roy's tips and tricks.
Yeah, you should have done that as a video. You just blew it on the
Brad's
podcast.
I would make a video.
Brad's tipsy tricks.
I will make a post about it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Anything else, boys? We still haven't heard from Erica. I hope she's alive.
No, I think she's sleeping.
We did hear
I
from
think
Wayno
we should-
asking how the blogcast went, and it's still going.
Mhm.
Thanks for
You should
watching,
call
Wayno.
911 to check Erica. Just saying.
Yeah, hey Alpha, all those cops and stuff that came to your place, I think you should send them over to Erica's now.
That was actually a fire engine that went by. I could tell by the sirens.
Oh, okay.
So you actually live in the city, like in the city.
Yeah, I live in the city. In the city. Yeah. So that was that was a fire engine going by. You could tell by the sirens between the fire engine, ambulance, police car. So I hear them often enough, so you can tell after a while which one is which. So yeah, that was a fire engine. But I don't smell any smoke anywhere, so it's got to be further uptown for me than where I'm at now. Yeah, I don't smell any smoke in the vicinity at all, which is a good thing.
What floor do you live on?
I actually live on the 13th floor. I'm visiting with my mom right now, and she lives on the 3rd floor.
That's incredible.
It's funny because on the 13th floor, we can hear the sirens just as much as if we were standing right outside in front of them. It's so strange. Sometimes we think that somehow it's like a airplane or a helicopter with sirens and it's going past the building or something. Because we hear it just as loud as if we were standing right downstairs with it. It's incredible.
Have you checked and seen if somebody named Luca is on the 2nd floor? Because I was always curious about that shit. If you go down and look at the register, it's like, no, try another building. It's like not true, man. It's not true.
Cities freak me out, man. I live in farmland. You may find some buildings here that have a 3rd floor, but those would be extremely rare.
Yeah. Oh wow. I actually want to move. I actually want to move to the someplace quiet, like in the country, someplace quiet and isolated.
Have you've lived in the city your whole life?
Yeah, I've lived in the city my whole life. So
yeah, you would go nuts if you went to a quiet area. You'd go nuts.
I actually I've visited quieted areas. Like when I went out to Virginia one time, and when I went like way out in Jersey, there was like nobody, nothing. It was like a house, and then it was like the next house seemed like it was like 10 miles away or something like that.
But that fell off the back of a truck.
But it was It was quiet. It was extremely. That's not me, by the way. That is not me. That's not me. That's not me. But it was. I don't have any babies here. But
Yeah, my
it
baby
was very.
just went up.
It was very
It's
quiet.
crying.
Oh yeah. It was quiet where was that, and I loved it. It was quiet. It was people. For instance, I used to live out in Staten Island, and where I lived in Staten Island, of course, nobody who lived in the city wanted to come see me because I had to take a boat to get out to Staten Island. So, I mean, I loved it. Where the area I was in was quiet. It was peaceful. It was there were houses around, but you didn't really see people around so much, and I totally loved it.
I think that's called a
I'm a
holiday.
I'm a solitary kind of guy.
All
I
right.
like my
Neil Diamond fan or what?
I actually do like Neil Diamond.
There
I
you
like
go.
my
Yeah.
I like my peace and quiet. I like my me time. I like to just be alone with my thoughts or with my internet or television programs or whatever. Um, I am honestly not too much of a people person, which is strange because I've always worked with people my whole in the people business my whole life. Managing and stuff like that. And now in the security field, I have to work with people. So I put on the game face, but I am not too much of a people person. Not too many people. I actually like. I love you guys.
I thought we almost got to some truth for a minute there.
I love you, man.
Many,
I totally love you, man.
when I'm in the street, I actually have the meanest look on my face because it actually keeps people away. Although if I'm in the street in my security uniforms, doesn't make a difference how mean I look. People always come up and ask me questions anyway, directions and this and that. I guess I don't know if the uniform makes them feel comfortable with asking me stuff. But if I'm out of my uniform, no, people tend to stay away from me when I'm walking down the street, which is fine with me. Very, very fine with me.
I can just
Also,
see
if
it
you
now. I'll come up to Alpha and ask him where the closest bus stop is. And he'll go, "Shut up!"
I am an introvert. I am definitely an introvert.
All right.
You need to get yourself a shopping cart because when you push one of those with you everywhere you go, nobody comes and asks you anything.
Yeah, right.
I gotta try that.
Especially if there's
I definitely have to try that.
out of it.
All right, folks, let's call it. This has been Keeping Up with Alpha, episode number 97. And we will see you next week.
All right.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye-bye.